Andrew, good to have you back here at Noise 11. Like I said, you know, don't talk to you in 30 years and talk to you twice in 2 years. So we're old buddies now.
Yes, we are. We are.
Yeah. This time touring Australia for Brother Sister, the 30th anniversary, which is actually in 2024. So, you know, 30 and a little bit when you get down here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that was a incredibly successful album for Brand New Heavies, and nothing like the first two. I mean, the first two came along; they had some success, but did you have any indication when you were recording Brother Sister that it was going to be so much bigger than what the previous two had been?
yeah. When we were signed to a major label in the UK, and we had a separate deal with an American label. So the combination of those two, we knew that everything's kind of the whole atmosphere of the band and the management changed a lot. And I thought, oh, they're really looking after us. They're putting us in great studios, spending lots of money, which is, I'll get into that later. But because you know, it's hard to recoup when they spend that much money. But I know that there was a lot of effort put in to get us out there, especially being a band that wasn't necessarily pop or dance or whatever was cool at the time. We were a very new, very unusual group. And the fact that they backed us that hard gave us the confidence that we were going to do something. You know, we've always been into having fun and didn't really ever see ourselves as being a band that would sell 2 million albums or whatever we did. So yeah, I just remember feeling everything became a lot more professional, more serious around that time. So I started writing a lot. You know, I was writing it all the time, and I thought, let's just try and write a song. And I ended up spent some time in the universe and some other, you know, songs that were quite big songs on that album. But yeah, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. You never know if it's going to be big or small. But as I say, with those two US label and the UK label working us, it would have been hard not to make an impression.
It's an album that's impossible to not love. Well, I mean, right from the very first lines, let's all have a good time. Feel the funk, y'all, and have a good time. I mean, you know, that sets the mood and that stays with you all the way through the album. So I guess performing the album would be equally as uplifting.
It is uplifting. I mean, we always have a good time. Literally, we have a couple of Prosecco's here and there, and we roll on stage, and we like to be in the same mindset and level of ecstasy as the audience. We like to. I when I go on stage, if I'm not feeling, I don't take it very seriously. I just like to have as good a time as the people in the crowd, and we all do that as well. We never really over rehearse too much either, so that there's a little bit of vulnerability that the crowd see, because they can see us checking each other. Is this the next section? Is this the chorus? Are we going to carry on for a little bit longer? And the crowd really love that. I don't think you get that in a lot of acts, because most live bands that are playing, you know, theaters and stuff like that, they're not always real bands, and we are actually a real band. Our keyboard's been with us for 20 years, I think. 15 years. I mean, everyone's been in the band for at least 10 years, everyone in the band right now. So we're a proper band, you know.
Yeah, that album had Nadia Davenport on it, and then suddenly after that she left and went on to a solo career. What effect did that have on the band? Obviously, it had no effect on the album at the time, but you know, having the voice of the album who packs up and goes elsewhere, how did that impact Brand New Heavies at that time?
Um, I mean, it affected me probably more than anyone because you know, maybe I'm just more emotional than the other two, but I really was upset by it. But at the time I just hid it, and we all hid it, and the label panicked a bit and said, find another singer. And we found in Cider Garrett, who ended up writing some big songs for us. But at the time, I remember there was always that kind of sense of family missing. You know, when I'm on stage with India, when we lives heavily in the band. I mean, she's been in the band since '91. You see, it's about 4 years. And we were whenever she comes on stage, she used to come on stage half after 3 or 4 songs, and I always used to think, oh my God, please hurry up and do. I don't know what to do to the crowd. You're better at getting the crowd going, getting going crazy. So whenever she walked on, I used to just sigh and think, oh, right, I can just play my bass now. I don't have to perform too much. And I really miss that because her control and level of engagement and just her wizardry in terms of whipping the crowd up is just unsurpassed. No one's ever been able to do that, I think, with a band. But that doesn't take anything away from Angela Ritchie, who's our current singer, who's been with us for coming up to 8 years now. She's fantastic, and she's had a nod from India as well. She says, thank you for taking up the role. And yeah, I mean, our songs are so powerful and strong and uplifting and optimistic that the Brand New Heavies show is more of a show. It's about the whole show rather than individual people.
Because India did come back in 2006. And I
Yeah,
think that was the last time she ever recorded when she did that final Brand New Heavies album back then.
last time she recorded with us, yeah, we did another tour in 2016 after Jan Kincaid decided to leave. But the last recording, yeah, I mean, I've just been chatting to India actually. I think she's seen a lot of activity on social media, so she posted a picture of herself in one of our videos, brother sister video. So I said hi, but she's doing other stuff. I'm not sure if she's into touring, but she lives in Japan with a Japanese husband that she has done for about 12 years now. So yeah, but I always think about her, and everyone. I'm surprised that people will still see us, and without her singing. But again, I say it's really the songs are so strong that people just want to come and hear those.
Yeah, the songs are a particular order on the Brother Sister album, and the good old Americans, like Australia, the UK, we all agree on a track listing for that album. The Americans come along and it's all got to be shuffled and things are going to be moved around and replaced.
That's it. Yeah.
If you do this show in America, do you have to do it in a completely different order?
No, do you know what? I didn't even realize until we started doing interviews and I actually checked the listing. I forgot that they chopped it up. But because in those days it was all physical, right? It was physical. There's no downloading, so you had to have your special version, your special sleeve cover. There's two different sleeve covers. So they had to make it different, and they had to make it different for France and Japan, and just so that they wouldn't have to deal with imports from other countries. But I think we're just going to stick to the UK version. That's the one we've rehearsed anyway. We're too lazy to change it. So
yeah. I was
yeah.
amazed that the Americans left off Midnight at the Oasis, the best known song for Americans, and they leave it off the record. Why was that?
At the time I thought, are you crazy? Because that was the first song that blew up in the UK. We had a listing on Capital Radio, which had 15 million listeners at the time, and I just can't figure it out. I didn't think they thought it was cool enough. The record label, Mike Ross, didn't think it was slick enough. So we had a bit of a battle for them not releasing it, but they know their market, and we just had to go with what they went with.
Yeah.
But it is odd.
Did you ever get any feedback from Maria Muldaur, the singer of the original version?
No, we didn't. We did meet the writer. I've got his name now. But we met him in New York, and he was thanking us for doing it. And I remember telling him, I wish we wrote that song, mate, because it just gets played all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we get the shows down here now, you're playing Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth for Brother Sister Tour in February 2025. It's the album from beginning to end. And then there's the encore. You go back to, and this is what I've seen so far. You've gone back to Stay This Way from the 1990 Brand New Heavies album, and also You Are the Universe from the Shelter album. Will that pretty much be how the Australian set list will form into shape?
We were thinking about that, and I think when we go to Australia, I think what we're going to do is maybe drop one of the instrumentals from the brother sister playlist track listing, and I think we're gonna bring Dream Come True into the set, and possibly Never Stop or Sometimes, probably Never Stop actually, because I think they're so important, and I think because we haven't played in America in Australia for so long, it's a shame not to play those songs. So we're going to try and squeeze them in somehow.
It's incredible, isn't it? Here's a piece of work that 20 something Andrew created way back in the 90s. And as you're approaching 60, here we are still talking about it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's very desperate of us not to just give it up, hang our hats up, and just say bye. But we keep getting booked, and it's really hard to say no. To go and do something on stage that is just something that you love with someone you went to school with. You know, Simon, I met him at 11 years old, and we still get on. We're still jamming. We're still giving us each other that look across the stage in the middle of the set, thinking, "Oh my God, are we still doing this? Is this real?" You know. But I'm not going to give up until either I can't stand up, my fingers stop working, or they stop booking us. It's what's the loveliest thing is that I started a family quite late. I've got a 9-year-old who's watching TV upstairs, and my 12-year-old, and I've just started teaching the 12-year-old bass. The 9-year-old Jasper is playing guitar, and it's nice that I kept it going because at least they can see what the hell Daddy's been up to for the past 35 years. They're going to come and see us at the Royal Albert Hall next year in March. I'd love to take. I want to take them to see certain cities and just let them travel with me to see what it's what the real deal's like, what it's like being in a band, traveling and touring.
Well, the kids can start their own band. They can be the brand new heavies and take it into the next
Exactly,
millennium.
exactly, and just to annoy a whole other generation with our music.
All right. Great to talk to you again, Andrew. Looking forward to seeing the band back down in Australia in 2025, Brother Sister. A marvelous piece of work. And thanks for joining us here at Noise 11.
Thank you so much for having us and having me. And I'll see you next year in Australia. Thank you.